Emma Collins was the girl everyone admired, and Coach Brian Keller was the man everyone trusted, but behind their perfect smiles, they were hiding a deadly secret that would tear their lives and their town apart. What began as a forbidden affair would soon spiral into blackmail, obsession, and, finally, a brutal murder that left the community in shock. This is the chilling true story of how a secret love turned into a deadly nightmare. Oak Ridge was the kind of town people dreamed about. Nestled between green hills and quiet lakes, it was the picture of safety and simplicity. Families had lived there for generations, and everyone seemed to know everyone else. The streets were lined with maple trees, and on weekends, neighbors gathered at the town square for farmers' markets and festivals. Life in Oak Ridge moved at a slow, steady pace, but beneath the calm surface, something dark was brewing. At the heart of the town stood Oak Ridge High School. It wasn't just a school, it was a symbol of pride. On Friday nights, almost every resident packed into the football stadium to watch the Oak Ridge Hawks play under the bright lights. The football team was legendary thanks to their coach, Brian Keller. He had led the team to victory for the last 5 seasons, and parents trusted him with their sons' futures. He was known as a family man, married with 2 young kids, and his smile often appeared in local newspapers alongside trophies and championship banners. Everyone believed he was a role model. Then there was Emma Collins, 17 years old. She was the face of the Oak Ridge High cheerleading squad. Emma was everything people admired: beautiful, smart, and full of charm. Her blonde hair and bright blue eyes made her stand out in every crowd. She was the kind of girl others wanted to be and boys wanted to date. Teachers adored her, parents admired her, and younger students looked up to her. Her social media was filled with perfect photos of her smiling with friends, posing in her cheer uniform, and enjoying weekend outings. Everything about her seemed flawless, but Emma wasn't as perfect as she appeared. Behind the smiles and perfect photos, she carried a secret that would later shock the entire town. It had started innocently enough: long practices after school, casual conversations about upcoming games, and harmless jokes exchanged between her and Coach Keller. He encouraged her during tough practices, praised her leadership, and often offered her rides home after late-night training sessions. Slowly, those innocent moments turned into something more dangerous. What began as harmless compliments became secret messages exchanged after midnight. Soon, those messages grew more intimate, and the lines between right and wrong blurred beyond recognition. Emma, still young and naive, believed she was in love. She felt special, chosen by someone older and powerful, someone who promised to protect her. She told herself it was destiny, not realizing how deep she was sinking into something she couldn't control. Coach Keller, on the other hand, felt trapped between temptation and responsibility. He knew the risks, but he kept going, unable to resist the excitement. Their meetings became more frequent and more secretive. They met behind the bleachers, in deserted parking lots, and sometimes even inside the locked gym late at night. Both believed they could keep their secret hidden forever. No one would ever find out. They were too careful, too smart. But they were wrong, because in a small town like Oak Ridge, secrets don't stay buried for long. Someone was always watching. Someone knew. And soon, that secret would explode into a tragedy that no one could have predicted. The affair between Emma Collins and Coach Brian Keller was no longer just a secret. It had become a dangerous game, and both of them were playing with fire. As the weeks passed, their meetings grew riskier. Every stolen glance at school, every whispered conversation in the shadows, and every late-night message on their hidden phones pulled them deeper into a web of deception. Emma began to change. She wasn't the same bright, cheerful girl everyone admired. Friends noticed she had become distant and distracted. She often zoned out during cheer practice, and her once constant laughter had faded. Her grades started slipping, something that had never happened before. People assumed she was just dealing with the usual pressures of senior year. But the truth was far more dangerous. Coach Keller wasn't doing much better. He looked tired, stressed and jumpy. He no longer stayed after practice to chat with other teachers or parents. He avoided eye contact with his players and seemed in a constant rush to leave. His wife noticed the changes too. He was distant at home, spending more time in the garage or going out for late night drives. He kept his phone close at all times, even when he was asleep. Their secret affair might have gone unnoticed by most, but there were always watchful eyes in a small town like Oak Ridge. Whispers began to spread through the hallways of the high school. Some students claimed they had seen Emma getting into Coach Keller's car after practice. Others swore they had heard strange noises coming from the gym late at night, when no one was supposed to be there. Then the blackmail began. It started with a single note left in Coach Keller's locker. The message was typed, cold and direct, warning him to end the relationship or face the consequences. The note promised to reveal everything, every message, every meeting, every secret if he didn't walk away from Emma immediately. Coach Keller's heart pounded as he read the words. He was terrified. His entire life could crumble in an instant. He would lose his job, his marriage, and possibly even face jail time. He destroyed the note and tried to convince himself it was a prank, but deep down, he knew it was serious. The next day, Emma found a similar note slipped into her cheerleading bag. The message was clear. If she didn't end things, the whole town would know. She panicked but kept it from Brian, too afraid of what might happen if the truth got out. Instead of pulling away, the threat only brought them closer. Both were terrified, but neither wanted to let go. They became more secretive, deleting messages and meeting even later at night in more isolated places. Every moment was filled with adrenaline and fear. But the blackmailer wasn't done. More notes followed, each one more threatening than the last. Whoever was behind them knew everything, every detail of their affair. Every place they had been together. It became clear that they were being watched closely still. They refused to stop. Their obsession with each other had blinded them to the looming danger. They believed they could outsmart whoever was behind the threats. They believed their love was worth any risk. But they had no idea just how high the price would soon become. The night of the biggest football game of the season arrived, and the town of Oak Ridge was buzzing with excitement. The stadium was packed with cheering fans waving banners. The marching band played loudly, and the bright lights lit up the chilly autumn sky. It was the night everyone had been waiting for, the night when Oak Ridge High would defend its championship title. But beneath the noise and celebration, something far more sinister was unfolding. Emma Collins was there, leading the cheer squad with her usual energy. Though those who watched closely could see the tension in her eyes, she forced a bright smile. But inside, she was terrified. She had received yet another threatening note earlier that day, this one far more menacing than the ones before. It simply read, "Tonight it all ends." Her hands trembled as she clutched her pom-poms, but she kept up appearances, not wanting anyone to suspect what was really going on. Coach Brian Keller was on the sidelines, shouting instructions and leading the team with his usual intensity, but he felt the pressure building inside him. He kept glancing toward Emma, unable to focus on the game. The threats, the fear, the lies, they were all becoming too much to handle. Every time the crowd roared, his heart pounded faster, not from the excitement of the game, but from the dread of what might happen next. As the final whistle blew and Oak Ridge High secured their victory, the crowd erupted into celebration. Emma led the squad in one last cheer, then quickly slipped away from the crowd. Her teammates assumed she was just heading home early, but Emma had other plans. She had agreed to meet Coach Keller after the game, hoping they could finally talk about the blackmail and figure out what to do next, but Emma never made it home. When her parents realized she hadn't returned that night, panic set in. Her phone went straight to voicemail and none of her friends knew where she was. By morning, the entire town was in shock. A massive search began immediately. Volunteers, police, and even students combed the streets, fields, and forests surrounding Oak Ridge. Flyers with Emma's photo were posted everywhere. 2 days later, a jogger found her phone in the high school parking lot. The screen was shattered and the case was stained with dirt. That discovery led searchers to focus on the woods just outside of town. It didn't take long before they found what everyone had been dreading. Emma's body was discovered deep in the woods, hidden under leaves and branches. The scene was horrifying. She had been stabbed repeatedly, and the brutality of the attack shocked even the most seasoned investigators. It was clear that whoever had killed her had acted in a frenzy of rage. The most chilling detail was the necklace found at the scene, a delicate silver chain with a small, heart-shaped pendant. Inside the pendant were 2 tiny initials engraved. BK. It was a gift from Coach Keller, something he had given her in secret months earlier. The town's perfect image shattered instantly. Whispers turned to accusations, and as police began to investigate, it became clear that this murder was only the beginning of the nightmare. The police wasted no time launching a full investigation into Emma's murder. The discovery of the necklace at the crime scene raised immediate suspicion. Toward Coach Brian Keller, it was undeniable proof that he and Emma shared a connection, far deeper than anyone had known. As detectives dug deeper, they began uncovering layers of secrets that no one had expected. Officers seized both Emma's and Coach Keller's phones for examination. What they found inside stunned everyone involved. Hidden behind locked apps and disguised folders were hundreds of messages exchanged between the two. The messages revealed a lengthy affair filled with passionate confessions, desperate pleas, and even detailed plans about meeting in secret. There were photos as well, some innocent and others far more incriminating. Voice notes recorded in hushed tones painted a clear picture of their secret world. Police realized quickly that this wasn't just a casual fling. It had been going on for months, growing deeper and more intense with time. They found evidence of meetings at motels outside town, late-night drives, and even secret weekend trips disguised as school events. The more they discovered, the clearer it became that their relationship was spiraling out of control long before Emma's death. Coach Keller was arrested and charged with suspicion of murder. His mugshot appeared on every news channel, sending shockwaves throughout Oak Ridge. Parents were furious, students were horrified, and his family was devastated. His wife filed for divorce the day after his arrest, and he was immediately suspended from his job. The town that had once idolized him now turned its back on him completely. But during questioning, Keller denied everything related to the murder. He admitted to the affair, knowing the evidence was impossible to deny. But he swore he hadn't killed Emma. He told investigators that he had ended things with her weeks before her death, after they began receiving the threatening notes. According to him, he was trying to save his family and distance himself from the chaos. But Emma had refused to let go. He claimed she had become obsessed, begging him to leave his wife and threatening to expose their affair if he didn't stay with her. Though his story sounded desperate, there were holes in it. Why had he continued messaging her just days before her death? Why had she still been wearing the necklace he gave her? Investigators pushed harder but couldn't break him. Then came a turning point in the case. Forensic testing of Emma's body revealed DNA under her fingernails. It didn't match Coach Keller. Instead, It matched someone completely unexpected to Ryan Davis, Emma's ex-boyfriend. Ryan had been quiet throughout the investigation. He attended the memorials, joined the search parties, and expressed shock like everyone else. He claimed to have been home alone on the night of the murder, watching the game on TV. No one had questioned him deeply, believing he had moved on from Emma months earlier. But the DNA didn't lie. Investigators also found security camera footage showing Ryan's car near the stadium that night. His alibi crumbled instantly, and he was arrested. As the news broke, the town went from shock to disbelief. Suddenly, the case wasn't as clear-cut as it had seemed. The coach wasn't the only one hiding secrets, and it became painfully clear that there was more to Emma's story than anyone had imagined. Ryan Davis sat in the interrogation room, his face pale and his hands trembling. The evidence against him was overwhelming. DNA found under Emma's fingernails, surveillance footage showing his car near the stadium, and phone records placing him near the woods that night left him with nowhere to run. After hours of intense questioning, he finally broke down and confessed to everything, revealing the horrifying truth behind the murder that had shattered the town. Ryan admitted that he had discovered Emma's affair with Coach Keller months before her death. He had stumbled across their secret messages by accident, using an old password Emma had once shared with him to access her phone. As he read through the messages, his anger grew into something uncontrollable. He felt humiliated and betrayed, furious that Emma had chosen an older man over him. The betrayal consumed him, turning his heartbreak into an obsession. At first, Ryan thought he could scare them into ending their relationship. He began sending the anonymous blackmail notes, carefully hiding his identity by typing them on public computers and wearing gloves to leave no fingerprints. He watched from a distance as Emma and Coach Keller grew more paranoid, and for a while, he felt in control. But when they continued their affair despite his threats, his frustration deepened. On the night of the big game, Ryan followed Emma from the stadium after the celebration ended. He waited in the shadows, watching as she slipped away from the crowd, likely to meet Coach Keller. His emotions boiled over. He confronted her in the woods, away from the stadium lights, demanding to know why she had chosen the coach over him. Emma tried to walk away, but Ryan refused to let her leave. In a rage-filled frenzy, he pulled out the knife he had brought with him, intending only to scare her. But everything spiraled out of control. As Emma screamed and fought back, he lost all sense of restraint. He stabbed her over and over, blinded by his own fury. When it was over, he panicked. He left her there in the cold, dark woods, covered her body with leaves and branches, and fled the scene, leaving behind the shattered pieces of his sanity. Ryan was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His confession brought closure to the case, but the town of Oak Ridge was left scarred forever. Coach Keller, though cleared of the murder, had already lost everything. His career was over, his marriage destroyed, and his name forever tied to scandal and disgrace. He left town quietly, never to return. Emma's funeral was a somber reminder of how quickly innocence can be lost. Her story became a cautionary tale whispered throughout Oak Ridge, a chilling reminder of how secrets, jealousy, and obsession can lead to tragedy. The once peaceful town would never be the same, haunted by the memory of a cheerleader's secret affair and the brutal murder that exposed the darkest sides of those they thought they knew.